Okay, so I'm using my friend Skylar. She's on the volleyball team. So we're not wearing masks because like we probably should be, but it's fine. So we'll start with controlling external bleeding. I rolled up and Skylar had a gash on her arm and I needed to help her. First I would ask consent. Do you have consent to help you?
Yes.
Great. So then I would add my gauze, hold firm pressure, and wrap firmly around the wound to hold that firm pressure to get that bleeding to stop. Next up, we have a rigid splint on the forearm. So if this were a random situation, I'd probably have a textbook with me. Hold your arm like this. I just rolled up and your arm's broken. You'll squeeze that up against you really quick. Then I'm going to take my cravat triangle bandage situation. It's not really a triangle, but it works. And I'm going to slide this into here. And I would tie it firmly. It's okay, because the textbook wouldn't bend. You have a rigid splint to hold that arm straight. It was broken. This is the least effective thing I've ever seen. Okay. Next up, my list is on this page. Next up, sling and binder. So if you'll hold your arm that same way like this. What I would do, I would slide here. I would bring that back around on the back here. You can hold it close to your body. Yeah, that works. And then I would ask, can you move your arm? Do you relax it? Can you jiggle it around? So then I would probably pull it a little bit tighter. I would double knot that. Keeping this nice and wide so that it provides a solid base on the arm. And I would make sure that it's straight so that her wrist isn't just like dangling. Thank you. Next, we have a rigid split on a bent elbow. Okay, the only problem with this one is I don't have like a yardstick or anything. So I'm gonna show the tying how I would do it, but obviously I would wrap it like around the yardstick. There's not really a good way to do this, so I'm so sorry. You'll bend your elbow here and turn this way for me. Like just your whole body, just turn this way. Thanks. So for this one, I would place a yardstick to support that elbow along that straight curve. And the first thing I would do is bring this one here, and obviously it would go around the yardstick that's sticking out here, and then I would bring it back around and tie it around the yardstick here as well. And this is where I would bring in a second triangle bandage. This is like the worst representation. I just don't have a yardstick, I'm so sorry. My second one here, and again, around that yardstick and back down and around and tie it to the stick, not to the arm, just to keep all of that pressure off of the injury. Okay. So now we have a rib injury. For a rib injury, I would take a soft jacket, pillow, sheet, folded, something that I had, probably a jacket because that's what I would have in my car. If you will hold that against your ribs here, and then I will take my triangle and keeping it as wide of a surface as possible, I would take that here, offer compression, make sure that it's not too tight, but that it is offering that compression, and I would tie that here on the side to stabilize the ribs. Okay. And, okay, if you'll sit on the ground for me, and then stick, actually we sit back there. That way I can see your ankle, and then just turn your body this way, and I'll just do it on your ankle this way. Okay. So I'm gonna show a soft splint and a figure eight in the same thing. So, soft splint, this is gonna be her hurt ankle. I'm gonna bring this toes flexed, up and around here. We're gonna bring our 3 straps with the longest towards the toes and at the other end. So we'll bring those 3 up through the gap under the Achilles. First one, bring up. We're just gonna tie, hold firm pressure. Second one is the shorter one. Also bring up, keeping in mind where the wound is so that I'm not compressing directly on the open wound. And I bring this up. This is where the figure 8 comes around the toes and then ties up here to hold those toes stable and flexed. So, just so you can kind of get a better look-see. This is so not ideal. Okay, untangle her. Good thing how it actually hurts. And last items of business. Okay, so if you'll lay down for me, if I roll up on a car accident and the victim appears to possibly have a cervical spine injury, I would simply stabilize by placing both of my hands on either side of the face, probably be in a better position than this, but the room is small, and making sure that if they're going to answer any questions, I make sure that they don't nod, don't look left and right, that they answer verbally if possible, or if verbal is not possible, I make them blink yes or no. But I'd place a hand on either side of the face, hold that cervical spine stable, and if I needed to switch with someone, I'd maintain 2 points of contact no matter what we were doing. Okay, then, okay, sit up, last one. Perfect sitting up. Okay, so this is just the cravat on the head. So if she had a head injury, head wound, again, we'd bring that big thing of gauze, maybe not this big, but the little one. And we would have some of that placed exactly on the wound. Golly, it's like unrolling in my hands. You'll hold that there for me. Thank you. And we bring that cravat, hold firm pressure, you can let go. And we bring it around, and if this was the longer one, tie it around the front, holding firm pressure so that external bleeding does stop. Sorry, that's really weird. I'm so sorry, but I hope that does the gist.